A year ago, I would never had imagined I would be running up and down the streets of Brooklyn fighting bad guys on a daily basis. I was living an average life until I discovered that I had superhuman strength, and bullets actually bounced off my body like paper. Kinda like Luke Cage. Overnight, I became a master of martial arts, developed ultravision sight, and could even move at supersonic speed when I wanted. Surprisingly, I also developed unexplainable marksman skills and could hit fast-moving objects with a single bullet. Yet, I had never handled a gun before. Quite strange. Right? But imagine this, from a simple life, to such a complicated way of life, where every single day I was out on the streets, someone was trying to clip me. Not so dope. Right? Take this dude as an example. I go by the name Lwanda Magere, Jr. 19-year-old American of Kenyan descent. My father, Detective Andrew Magere, moved from Kenya to America sometime in the 1990s. His wife, my mother, died when giving birth to me. He named me Lwanda Magere Jr., after his great-great-grandfather. Legend has it that my great-great-grandfather Lwanda Magere was kind of a superhero back in the day. It is said, spears and swords bounced off his skin. I always wondered where they made up such stories. Like any other Black America born in the suburbs, my life was quite average. Not too bad. Despite the occasional racism, we managed to get through. My dad was a hard worker and quickly rose in rank. He tried his best to give me the best life he could possibly provide. With his line of work, he knew how important it was to keep me off the streets, as many of my edgemates staying in the hood barely made it to 20. Every day he looked at the paper, and always a story of someone getting gunned down, a bad drug deal gone sour, or some gangbang fiascos. His main problem was all this was way too close to home and it was getting worse by the day. We had an awesome father-son relationship. Maybe because I was all that he had. Unlike many boys my age, we surprisingly spent lots of time together. I knew all his close friends. Mainly the good cops. They had actually kinda helped raise me. Other than that, my life was very ordinary. Or let's just say boring, like any other black kid raised in my neighborhood. I had me some great friends, and being a star football player in college, I must admit, I was kind of the popular dude. We would spend a lot of time on the streets, doing all the things young people our age did. The only thing my crew didn't mess around with was drugs. Since the 1960s, America has been one of the largest markets for coke and heroin in the world. If you lived in New York, Boston, or Philly, or anywhere in the northeast of America and did drugs, one way or the other they probably came through Don Chico. He had the biggest infrastructure, and controlled the supply chains through his Italian mafia connections. And in addition to extortion and racketeering, his criminal organization also controlled the bootleg and city's construction industry as well. For decades, despite several gang wars, the cocaine and heroin business flourished and made many dollar millionaires. Don Chico had always tried to toughen up his firstborn son Chi-Chi. The Don always taught him to always weigh his options, either become a manufacturer or a distributor. And whatever direction he took in the family business, he had to make sure he was the very best, and at the very top of the food chain.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
Fast forward to today, Harlem has become one of the most dangerous places in America. The gangs have been at war with each other over control of drug distribution. Every day in the hood is filled with extreme violence as gangs try to revenge and remain relevant. One day you're busy chillin' in your hood, and a car slowly pulls up. Apparently, somebody's cousin got smoked last night, and they want revenge. Soon bullets flying everywhere. Shortly, 10 gang members are dead. 5 to 10 innocents, collateral. Victims of stray bullets. The cops are having a very rough time, trying to control the situation. The incidences are very sporadic and unpredictable. Things have gotten so out of hand, and the gangs are even fighting back the cops. Something unheard of. On top of the coke, crack and weed, the Dons also making lots of dough selling sophisticated firearms to the gangs. Both sides. Some rogue cops have taken advantage of the situation and are in the mafia's payroll. They create mayhem in the hood, and take out any opposing gang members through targeted assassinations. One such cop is Sergeant Jack Silver, a hardened white supremacist, and well-known racist. He is known to have very close ties with one of the local drug lords, Mr. Biggs. All the 6 gangs in the hood have an indescribable fear of him. He operates without any rules and has enriched himself using every dirty trick in the book. He is known to make many people disappear for good, and even for basic disputes, without a trace. Many are known to walk into the police station, never to be seen again. So feared he is, that he is known to walk unprotected in black neighborhoods any time of the day. He is rumored to have several members of the FBI, the DEA, and CIA on his payroll. His increasingly involvement in narcotics trafficking demanded that all criminals pay him street protection tax for operating in his territory. Since Don Chi-Chi took over from his father as mob boss, he has managed to consolidate all the rival gangs and is one of the most connected criminals in the whole of America. Not only does he now have all the top politicians, judges, cops, and distributors in his pocket, but has impressively expanded his network internationally. His business empire is raking in close to $20 million daily, and the streets have never been flooded with so much drugs since the days of Pablo Escobar. The American government has greatly been frustrated in its fight against drugs, as Don Chi-Chi always finds a way to compromise its special agents. He makes El Chapo look like a schoolboy. Unlike his father who believed in a calm atmosphere for business to flourish, Don Chi-Chi, infamous for his short temper, seems to believe in fear and fear alone. He believes terror creates loyalty. His mantra: divide and rule. But not all cops are compromised. Detective Andrew Magere Sr. was a different breed of law enforcement officer. He genuinely and truly believed in law and order. He believed in an America that was free and fair to all. An America where the justice system worked, and one where if you worked hard, you could make it and live the American dream. He swore to do his best to do his part and to do his job, even if it meant starting at the top, exposing his fellow corrupt police colleagues. He knew how deep the force had been compromised, and that if he wanted to bring the corrupt cops to the book, he had to do it alone and discreetly. He embarked on a solo mission to collect evidence, of which he would eventually share with the relevant government officials. He even managed to record some very high-profile meetings amongst the top family heads. His big break came when he busted one of Mr. Big's top dealers and found him in possession of a briefcase with $2 million, and more important, secret documents outlining details of the syndicate together with all compromised senators, judges, and top government officials. This info would directly bring down the entire organization. He booked the dealer into the police station for interrogation, but took the briefcase to his home study for safekeeping, ready to hand over to a trusted journalist the next day. This was not to be. Sergeant Jack Silver organized for the dealer to be released and handed back to Mr. Biggs. For a handsome fee, of course. Unfortunately, when the good detective was recording this exchange, he was spotted, and barely just managed to escape with his life. He spent the whole night hiding. There was no one he could trust. A quick meeting was organized by Mr. Biggs. A furious Mr. Biggs made it clear that the Detective Magere issue had to be sorted once and for all. Jack Silver assigned spotters outside Detective Andrew's home, and they alerted him when the detective got in early morning, to perhaps collect a few items. His meeting with the journalist had been postponed last minute to the next day due to unavoidable circumstances. After doing all this, he decided to report to work and meet up with one of his seniors to file a complaint on how the dealer had been released. On his way out, he knocked on young Lwanda's room. Found him busy studying for an exam he had to take that morning. As usual, they bonded a bit, and Dad wished son the best in his exam and a good day. Little did they know, this was the last time Lwanda Magere Jr. would see his dad alive. The next thing he heard a few minutes after his father walked out of the house were several gunshots. A few minutes later, he heard some people get into the house. Scared as hell, he hid under his bed. When they came into his room, they spotted him hiding. He knew he would not make it out of this alive. Trembling like a leaf, they led him by gunpoint to his father's study room, to go retrieve the briefcase with the documents and the money.
Where's the money? I told you I didn't have any in the safe! Oh, then where is it? Go get me that briefcase! Okay. Hurry up! Yeah, okay.
After they shot him, they took the briefcase and left. They didn't even bother opening it. For his safety, he moved to a smaller place. One day, while young Lwanda is at his crib chilling, he sees a very bright light that suddenly fills his room. He takes a peek through the blinders to look at what it could be, and suddenly there's a loud knock on his door. He goes to check it out. When he opens the door, what he sees scares him half to death and he loses consciousness. He goes into a daze, and during that time his body experiences strange transformation. He goes in and out of consciousness. He wakes up in a daze. In a world he is unaware of. It seems like a dream, but at the same time feels too real. He blacks out again. The revelation then occurs. Folklore of the Luo peoples of Kenya speaks of a mighty warrior known as Lwanda Magere. He was born in the year 1720 to Abonyo, son of Omolo, and mother Nyabera. His mother also died during his birth, and was therefore taken care of by his grandmother Rapandi. His father died in one of the numerous wars with their Nandi neighbors when he was barely a teenager. He belonged to the Sidho clan in Kano, in the shores of the Lake Victoria. He was possessed of unearthly powers, and his flesh was made of stone. Arrows, spears and clubs simply deflected from his body, making him invincible during war. He was famously known for his capability to tear an entire army apart alone. The Luo traditional enemies at the time were the Jolango, this is the Luo name for the Kalenjin community. The Lango were tired of being defeated at war by the Luo. The Nandi elders sat to discuss the issue and came to a conclusion where they would give Lwanda Magere, Marianne to marry, claiming that it was a gesture of peace. Marianne's role was to find out how to defeat him. They therefore sent her to him. Though the Luo elders advised him not to take the girl, Lwanda Magere did not heed their advice. Lwanda Magere's eventual downfall came at the hands of his wife. Now it happened that whenever Lwanda was sick, his first wife would care for him. One day he fell ill when his first wife was away. He therefore called his Lango wife to bring him some medicine. Lwanda instructed her to cut his shadow with a knife, and instill the medicine. She was surprised when she saw his shadow bleed. That night, she crept out of Lwanda's home and ran back to her people. She was received with joy when she told them her husband's weakness. That his shadow was made of flesh, and was vulnerable to attack. The news quickly spread. The Nandi knew that the Luo would not expect them to attack as Lwanda had married one of them, making them kinsmen. They then attacked the Luo. The Luo fought fiercely and Lwanda killed so many Nandi warriors, which forced them to retreat. A few remaining ones, still fighting, were soon wiped out, but not before one evil witch doctor remembered that Lwanda's strength was in his shadow. He crept behind him and quickly struck a spear at Lwanda's shadow. Lwanda Magere fell down and died. His body turned to stone. The stone is still there to date. At this point Lwanda Jr. realizes what's happening. He is the last living descendant of the great Lwanda Magere. He will do everything to ensure his father did not die in vain, and also make his legacy live forever. Just like his great-great-grandfathers. With Mr. Biggs and his father's two killers now out of the way, Lwanda's main focus is now bringing down the drug cartel, slowly dismantling their gang activities and disrupting distribution. Don Chi has gone totally psychotic. Mr. Biggs was very instrumental because of his hood connections. Anyway, just another spot open for a promotion. The Don knows Lwanda is going after him, so in return, he has put $1 million bounty on Lwanda's head. Well, as for Lwanda, he's now the new kid on the block, Lwanda Magere, protector of Harlem.
Oh God! Help! Oh, thank God! Oh, you gotta help me! It's a lunatic! He's chasing me! Help me! Do something, please! Don't just stand there staring at me! We gotta get out of here now! Ah!
please hit the subscribe button to follow us. This is Two Tribes TV. Hit the notification button so that we alert you anytime we have new videos.